And then all of a sudden I feel the back of his hand slide across my bottom. And it was like spiders just started to crawl up me. I felt a touch of some sort. And goosebumps all over. It was just, just this awful feeling came over me entirely. That assault of beauty took me over. And I knew he wanted me to look at him. He wanted to see that I was afraid. I just knew that I wasn't hated. And I knew that everything was going to change from there. Nothing was going to be okay again. And just for my own moment there, I really and truly loved the world I lived in again. And at the end of the day, I knew two things. I wanted there to be a God again, because I wanted to believe that there was some reason for this. But I didn't want there to be a God at the same time. Any God that would put a child through that doesn't deserve his position. And I didn't want somebody who had betrayed me to be the person that I had to worship. And it was just this round and round and round and round and round and round and round. Do I believe in God or do I not? Do I believe in God or don't I? If this doesn't come through, nothing's going to. And I'll just have to live with this. I don't know how. Maybe I'll just die. Maybe I'll just die and not have to live with it and not have to think anymore. And it won't matter anymore. Maybe I'll just die.
Alright, try another one.
Get a good picture.
Jesus loves and the They don't know that one, Jess. And he gave his one and only son. I don't want to sing that song.
Why?
I'll sing Barney Loves Me. No! I love you. You love me. Where I'm free, I can be. With a great big hug and a kiss for you. Won't you say you love me too? I love you. I love you.
When I was little and through all of my childhood, I remember hearing stories about when I was born, how much of a miracle I was. My mother had trouble giving birth to Carolyn, my older sister, so I came as a complete surprise. My mom thought I was the flu. My dad was the one that told her to check if she was pregnant. Everybody thought that I was going to be a boy. Apparently it had something to do with my strong heartbeat. My dad was right again. He was the only one that thought that I was going to be a girl. You know, I came out of the womb and my eyes were just wide open, looking around at everything with the most aware and alert, curious look on my face.
Sylvia, she's going to tell us all about your body. Okay, Sylvia, tell me.
Your legs are attached to your tummy, and your tummy is attached to your middle, and your middle is attached to your chest, and your chest is attached to your neck. Your neck is attached to your whole face, and your whole face is attached to your ears, and your ears are attached to your cheeks, and your cheeks are attached to your mouth, and your mouth is attached to your food pipe, and your food pipe is attached to your tummy. Your food pipe.
To your what?
To your tummy.
No, to your tummy.
And
I had this English project for my junior high class. It was a poetry project. And I had to display the poems that I had found and the poems that some of them I had written somehow. And I decided to make like a binder and make almost like a scrapbook. And so we went to a craft store to get the materials for it. And I was looking at paper and you know, the buttons and the little clips and, you know, whatever the hell you put in the scrapbook. And at one point in our trip, I wandered away from my mom and my sister. I don't even remember what they were looking at, but I went to go look at buttons in another aisle. I think they must have been 2 or 3 aisles away, maybe. And there was only one other person in the aisle, and it was just some guy with a jacket and a baseball cap on. And so there I am looking at buttons, and I can just feel him looking at me. And I start to get nervous, but you sort of just like really like, you know, don't be scared. It's just some guy. And then he goes to leave the aisle, and I find myself, you know, oh, thank goodness he's leaving. And then all of a sudden I feel the back of his hand slide across my bottom. And it was like spiders just started to crawl up me. It was just, it just this awful feeling came over me entirely. He just went, oh, shit, and said, sorry. And part of me is like, oh, that was a mistake. Okay. It's fine. And I said, that's okay. And then he starts coming back. And I feel that hand again. And I stand there and stand there and stand there. He leaves the aisle. And just as he's turning the corner, I remember I saw it so clearly out of the corner of my eye. He just leaned back and looked at me. And I knew he wanted me to look at him. He wanted to see that I was afraid. And so I did. And I looked back at the buttons. I remember that they were all white buttons. And I remember thinking, I have to go find my mother. So I went and found her, and I was crying. And I told her what happened. And she looked at me. And the first words out of her mouth were, "Sweetheart, no matter where you go, there will always be people like this around." I wanted to hear that it was going to be okay. But nothing was going to be okay again.
It's not the end of the world. Did Sylvia or did Carolyn splash you?
Yeah.
She did.
Oh, no.
Will you stand up so Mama can wash your legs?
Yeah, I want my ring.
Well, would you stand up so Mama can wash your legs, please? Please? Sylvia? Sylvia Jean. Here, this gets recorded. Someday, when she is 20 and has her own child, it will be this stubborn.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yes.
Not my baby.
Are your kids going to be stubborn, Sylvia?
No.
Oh, let's wait and see.
No. You'll be dead when
Sylvia.
my kids come.
I hope not. I hope I get to see my
What?
I said, I love you.
Sylvia, have you been ornery?
No. You look like you've been.
Have you been ornery?
No.
You haven't.
No.
Oh.
I was 13, and I went to summer camp. And Pastor Joe, that was his name, was giving his either second to last or last little spiel. And, up until that point, it was just kind of like, okay, I just sit through these things and go back. But all of a sudden, he started to tell us a story. And I think that's what changed it. And he told us a story of when he went to a youth conference with a bunch of other teens. It was just this one person who wouldn't engage, who didn't care. And I thought, so I'm not the only person in this world who thinks this is complete bull. Great. He started talking about the last night that they were at this conference. Suddenly, Joe found himself sitting on in the laundry room of this tiny hotel suites room that they had stayed in. He's on one machine, the kid's on the other, and he's just bawling his eyes out. Just bawling. Telling him everything he's ever done. And I'm not quite sure why. And I don't exactly know how it happened, but I started to cry. And then I started to shake. And then I started weeping. And I don't mean silent weeping. I mean breaking every kind of rule of church etiquette that you can possibly think about, wailing. I remember Joe kept talking and I couldn't hear what he was saying anymore. And I remember my counselor, Shauna, sort of lifting me by the arms a little and leading me outside. And right outside of the chapel was this picnic bench. And the sun was going down because it was the evening chapel. And I just remember my eyes being full of tears and just looking at it and just like seeing this just like wash of gold. It was almost like an impressionist painting looking through my tears. And so we just both sat down on the picnic bench. And she just puts her hand on my arm. And then on my back, it just starts rubbing my back. And I don't remember what she said, but I know that she started to pray. I gradually stopped crying. And I looked around at the water and at the sunset. And I just remember, I don't even know if people would consider it praying. I do. But I just remember thinking, if you're real, don't hate me too. Because I hate myself already. And this isn't a matter of, trying to get to you and you rejecting me, because I feel like you already would anyway. Because I would. I'm dirty. And I feel this way, and God, I just don't want you to feel that way about me. And that wasn't, necessarily the thing that the pastor on TV says at the end of every single message and then asks, to subscribe to the CD audio sermons or whatever. But I felt a touch of some sort. And goosebumps all over. And suddenly I remember I was laughing. I felt like I was weightless. And I just knew that I wasn't hated. And I knew that everything was going to change from there. And just for my own moment there, I really and truly loved the world I lived in again.
It's this one's first day of kindergarten. Isn't it, Sylvia?
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
Who's your teacher?
This is Neely.
How are you going to find your room?
Find the butterflies. I'm freezing out here. I'm freezing.
Big deal. My mom's not coming down. I'm not inviting her.
Boy.
My mom has to work.
Now you have to get used to her. She's only half 4 years old. She is 4.
What grade are you going?
No, I'm just 9.
How do I do? Oh, don't do this.
How old are you?
20 years from now, I'm going to say, oh, was I ever that fat? Ooh.
You get way too close, baby.
Can I try the camera now? How do I do it? Is it still recording?
Yeah, in order to get it to stop,
Yeah.
you just press this button.
Okay.
What?
All right, wash your daughter's hair.
Yes, dear.
Hi, Sylvia.
Mom, I want to see myself.
You want to see yourself? Well, you'll see it when we get a tape. You'll see it when we get a tape. We're practicing right now. This is our first try.
Mom, can I see me? They already got wet.
Maybe on the TV later.